Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Women Talk Construction podcast, where we discuss women in construction and other non-traditional careers. My name is Christy Powell, and I'm with my co-host, Angela Gardner. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Angela Gardner with Hill Electric, and I'm with Christy Powell, and we are Women Talk Construction. So today we're going to talk about our why and why we are passionate about it and kind of how that got us started with this podcast. So isn't this going to be fun, Christy?
Absolutely. I love being passionate.
Well, I mean, that's part of, I guess, a career projection, right? You got to be passionate about what you do and love it. I'll get us started. So, you know what? I have always loved hearing stories. Throughout my career, whenever anyone has stopped and shared their stories, I have 50 million questions to ask about it. So
I love asking questions.
I know. Curiosity, right? Right? Yeah. You know, I think that I have to attribute a lot of this to my grandmother and my mother because they always taught me the importance of being curious, being kind, and giving back. And so, you know, a lot of my career has been built on giving back. So whenever I found that, I found this pathway to being passionate, so passionate about, women being in our industry and sharing about how wonderful it is, then I found that, sharing that story with others was a way for me to give back. And of course, hear their stories too and share their stories too. So that's a little bit about like my passion. I'm curious to hear what yours is. I bet it's something wonderful.
So mine's similar, obviously. One of my passions that might be a little different is when I got into the industry. I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. I was a single mom. And when I was able to get into this industry and see the fruits that came from the work in this industry, when you work really hard, there's no ceiling on the kind of money that you can make. That was really awesome. I had spent 20 years of my life working for another company and I didn't have control over my salary, right? But when I started working in this industry, it was a salary plus commission base. So the harder I worked, the more money I made. And I've always been kind of a workaholic, sometimes to a fault. So that was really, really cool to see that being a single mom, I'd be able to afford some things I wasn't able to afford before. So that's where my passion started. I'd really love to talk to some single moms out there that might be working 2 or 3 jobs like I was. And, just give them the opportunity to go to tech and learn some things about the trade so that they could actually make some more money, right? Like that's one of my passions. The other passion is after being in the industry for as long as I have been, I just really want to share the knowledge that I've gained with other girls and boys. It doesn't matter to me. I really just want to share and not necessarily mentor, but just pour life into folks that are really willing and able to be in our industry. I think that if you look at it from the outside, you might not think it's the greatest industry in the world. But if you look at it from the inside, just about everybody that's in this industry are pretty cool people.
I agree.
And I think we're all passionate too. Like everybody in this industry, it's never boring. It's never dull. And you learn something new every single day. And I have also been a lifelong learner. I love learning. Like if you told me I could go tomorrow to learn something new, I would go because I just love to learn. So, you can always learn something new in this industry too. So my passion really is girls and also single moms out there that are working 2 to 3 jobs. There's opportunities for you.
Oh, yeah.
That you may not even know about. And I just want all the girls to know their options. It may not be for them, but I wish somebody had given me the option prior to me falling into it. Right.
Yeah. So, hey, I agree. Yes.
And I love helping the community too. And being a woman in this industry, I've found that just about every other woman that I've met so far, when I hear their story, they've got a community story behind them as well. It's not just about being in the industry. I think there are a lot of men like that too, but I think the women in general are really passionate about giving back to the community and helping the community, whether it be building a countertop like we did for Safe Harbor, the ladies in our group,
Yes.
Women Construction Forum, whether it be that or just, providing materials for a job that they need, or working on the Habitat for Humanity house. It's just a great camaraderie ship when all the women get together and they do a project like that for the community.
No, I agree totally. And I think that there are a lot out there that can relate with both of yours and my story, either being a single mom or growing up in the industry, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that every single female and actually male that I've met in the last few years, when they find out I'm in the industry, they want to tell me their stories. And it's funny because that just happened to you
Yes,
today.
it did.
Yeah. So that's really cool. It's really cool to be in a room with some people who are trying to work on workforce development initiatives too, like I was today, and to hear the support from all the men and women in that room about how we can get more women engaged in the trades and let them know what options are available. So we've really come a long way, but you and I both are very passionate also about workforce development, about, just training people and letting them know what options are available out there.
Oh yeah, right. Because well, what's the stat, Krista? You're pretty good at that with how many women that are in our industry right now.
So we are at 11%, which is 2%
Uh,
higher than we were 2 years ago, which is great.
Okay,
But
yes.
but only 4% of us are actually boots on the ground. So the other 7% are in a role of administrative or, it could be anything. But only 4% of us are actually out there on the ground, seeing the jobs, doing the work. So there's a large percentage of girls that have not been exposed to the industry, and that's both of our passions, right? Is
Yes,
just
exactly.
giving them the exposure. If they love it, great. If they don't love it, that's great too. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool, and to be able to help shine a light for the business owners in our industry from a female perspective has been so helpful in moving that needle a little bit faster. So as we're sitting in a room with workforce development people and we're talking about these things, being able to speak up and say, oh, well, if you're going to offer a carpentry class, that's great. But you would have never gotten me to say, oh, I want to take that class. So we need to be a little bit more dialed in to what the girls find intriguing in carpentry, and maybe list all those options that are available in carpentry. When I think of carpentry, I think the only thing you can do is wear a tool belt and hammer a nail, but there are a lot of different things that you can do on a construction site, other than hammering and nails, right, Angela?
Oh yeah, exactly. And also I feel like, well, tell me this, how do you feel about this? I think that there should be probably more female representation in those conversations
Absolutely.
in order to do this, right? Because
Yes.
they need our input. And to be honest, I think some of these girls are probably going to want to see it to believe it and to dream it, right? They're going to need to
Right.
see us doing those jobs. And so it's not just going to be something on paper that's going to attract them. That's just how I feel about
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's really on point. I was the only female in the room today. There were 14 of us that wasn't in education. So, I did speak up. I did, mention a
Good
few
for
things.
you.
I did. Yes,
Yay.
I did. It's hard for me not to now because I'm so passionate about it. But I'm
Right.
I'm kind. I'm just, sharing my opinion on how I think we can intrigue more women to want to be in our industry, right? Like I was very respectful. Everybody's respectful, but it would be great if there were 5 women in that room instead of one. I think that's going to make an impact. But I think really, as these gentlemen that own their own businesses have daughters that are coming up
Exactly.
in the
Yep.
industry, and if they seem a little bit interested, I think that I've started to see the change just based on that, right? Like, what can I do to help my daughter? How can I support her better? So it's been really cool to have those conversations with people that really do care about where the next generation is going to be in our industry, not only just in our industry, but in all non-traditional careers. I think it fits all of that. And that's why we're doing this podcast, right?
Exactly. I was going to get to that. That is why this podcast exists. Non-traditional careers.
Right.
Right.
And we're going to hear from so many people, and we're going to get to share so many stories. Yes, I'm excited about that.
Yes, very much. Me too. This is where you're going to make such a huge impact. And these women that are going to share their stories, and not only women, but some men, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I've had support.
Great supportive men in our industry for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them out there. So don't hesitate. If you're listening to this podcast right now, don't hesitate to ask for help. There are people out there that really do want to help you. I always jump at the chance to be able to talk to a room full of students, whether it be girls, all girls, or girls and boys, so that we can share our journey. And so they have a more of an open mind about the trades and non-traditional careers. So Angela, that brings me to a question. What else would you like to see happen with our podcast? What are you thinking the vision for our podcast is going to be? Any more really good tidbits we can share with the audience?
Well, sure we can. Let's share. We're definitely going to have some very great topics and diverse topics, right? And
yes.
And lots of different speakers. They will be women and men, and they will be of various backgrounds. Some will be owners of companies, and some will be boots on the ground. And I think that that's going to lend itself to some really cool conversations that we're going to have. And not only that, but I feel led to say that we're also going to have our website, have a lot of course, it's going to host our podcast, but then it's also going to be a great place for resources for our listeners, in that way that they can connect with our speakers as well. Right.
Right.
So
yes. I love it.
That's how I see it. What, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I love it. I think that we're going to find ourselves with some of the interviewees. I think we're going to find ourselves talking about authenticity and vulnerability at some point. I think we're going to help other people in non-traditional careers see how they can navigate a non-traditional career. Sometimes it's not the easiest conversation to have when you're on a job site and somebody says something that isn't something that you're used to hearing, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how to navigate some of those conversations. I just see a lot of really good people with some really good content. I think we're going to be extremely excited and amazed by how many unbelievably powered women are running construction companies and building companies and are in the manufacturing field and in the industrial field and are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. Our biosector, all of them, right?
Yes.
Right.
STEM,
aerospace.
Yep. All of it. I think that, honestly, it was eye-opening to me being boots on the ground. I didn't get to see the wide picture. And now that I see the wide picture, I'm blown away by the amount of women who are leading companies in our industry to great heights.
Right. Not just leading, Christy, but creating companies. I mean, that's a huge thing too, is to actually start one up and take it to the levels that they are.
Right. So successful. I think I read not too long ago that 4 of the top 10 construction companies in the United States are owned by women or ran by women. And I think that statistic right there speaks for itself.
Yes, it does.
So they're getting in there, they're doing all the things, they're making decisions, they're making things happen, and they're very good at what they do.
Another topic that I think we should talk about too, Christine, tell me what you think, is how to create your own tribe.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, because yes.
Right. So honestly, without my tribe, the power within me wouldn't have been great enough to start this podcast. I'm just going to be authentic right now. That tribe of people that just believe in me and, just there to listen, and just, I know that they're there no matter what. Right.
Right.
And everybody needs that tribe, people that support you and lift you up in all circumstances. And if you fall down, they pick you back up and dust you off and say, go again. Right.
Right. And you know what? I have to say this, I'll share this. Definitely Hill Electric has done that for me. And I would dare to say 84 Lumber for you too, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. It wasn't just my tribe. It was the opportunity that I've had working for a woman-owned company. Right.
Yeah. Right.
This opportunity wasn't available to me in other institutions or other companies that I worked for. So working for a woman-owned company just really opened a wide door for women to walk through and, just be themselves and create a space of empowerment and encouragement for other people.
Right. Well, and I work for a male populated company.
Yes.
But
not dominated.
No, I got that from you, Christy. But they definitely support females. But I mean, they're doing this, they're supporting us in this way, and they support me in so many other ways throughout the community. And they listen to me and they said, yes, what can we do?
Right.
And that says a lot, right? It
does. I don't know what I would do without the team of people that we have. Maggie really does love people, and she loves community, and that's shown all the way from the top down. So our managers, our area managers, our DVPs, they are probably the most caring individuals that I've met ever. And that environment alone is such a great culture to work for, and helping the community and just saying, hey, let's do this. And nobody even arguing. It's like, oh, that's great. What do you need? It's pretty awesome to be able to work for a company like 84 Lumber and Hill Electric, isn't it?
It really is. It's just like Simon Sinek says, it really starts from the top down. And it's leadership that dictates how it goes. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm just glad for the mentors that helped me along the way.
Yes.
See those things.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. See them get engaged with others. I mean, I've had so many just encourage me to get involved in the community. I think that was the best thing that ever was said to me.
Absolutely.
Get involved.
There's nothing that feels better than walking away from something or someone that you've helped, and just the feeling of satisfaction, of accomplishment, just because you were able to help someone. I just don't think there's any better feeling than that out there.
No. And probably us mamas are really
we're pretty good at
that. Right?
We do a little nurturing, a little bossing around, a little nurturing, a little bossing around, maybe cry every now and then, but we're pretty good at that. Well, it looks like we're getting close to our time, and we're trying to make sure that your time is valuable to us. And our next podcast is going to be a little bit on diversity. So tune in and keep listening to Women Talk Construction. That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Women Talk Construction podcast with your hosts, Christy Powell and Angela Gardner. See you next time.